I'm DigiBro, and this is the Rant Hole, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. If you want to be one of those $15 a month patrons, you can get a rant by the end of next month. I tell you what! Today's is from Not Gran, who wants me to rant about Patreon rewards, such as the one we're doing right now. Patreon rewards, man, it is a universe into itself of things to explore. There are so many people who run Patreons who don't really put much emphasis on their rewards. In fact, a lot of people don't have any rewards. A lot of people are just like, give me whatever you want, and you're not getting anything in return. I've always tried to experiment with them because, I mean, generally you're going to make a lot more money if you offer something, especially if it's something good, but trying to find the right balance between what is an effective, Patreon product that isn't taking too much time away from you just actually doing the thing that they are patroning you for in the first place is difficult, especially finding something that you just naturally want to do. When I first got started with my Patreon, one of my awards was rewards. I don't fucking know why I keep saying awards. One of my rewards was that for $15 a month, you could just choose something that I would do an analysis video about. And that was a fucking terrible idea, because what I came to realize is that, I have to consume the thing. I have to go and do research and come up with something to say about something that I wouldn't naturally have anything to say about. And it's funny because this reward tier is the exact same thing, except that I made it very specifically clear that it's going to be an unscripted rant, it's not going to be researched. You better ask me to rant about something you think I have something to say about, or else you're going to be disappointed. I made it very clear what this was going to be so that it would be something that falls in line with what I would do. Something that won't take too mumuch time away from my regular work, that won't be me, double dipping into categories that I would cover on my channel anyways, Because even back then, when I was getting those requests, some of which I don't think there was a ton of people who were on that tier, but there's definitely some who did not get their reward ever, and I apologize to those people if any of them are still around. But one guy who I did do, he basically just gave me a script to read, and I just kind of did that. And then there was some who requested things that I was going to cover anyway. One guy requested a Madoka Magica analysis, and I was like, I'm already doing that, so you're covered, But just in general, it was not a good idea. And I think that a lot of people try to offer stuff like that, and what you come to realize is that doing an analysis video, for me, that's worth way the fuck more than $15, a month, because if I just make an analysis video about whatever I want and, mark it on Patreon, let's say before I went monthly, back when I was per video, I was making $1,000 on the first video I posted a month. So, a proper analysis video is worth $1,000, or it could be worth more if there's a strong ad rev behind it, if it gets a lot of views. Whereas, so if I'm doing a Patreon request for $15 a month, it's this is by no means worth the amount of effort that, could be going towards something that would make me way the fuck more money. So, that's also a factor you have to take in. You also have to be prepared for what the circumstances of it are. For instance, early on I had a Google Hangout reward. It was $30 a month or something, and I'll do a Google Hangout. I only did one, and the reason is that I quickly realized for everyone in there, what you really want is one-on-one time with me, and that's not what you're getting. What you're getting is a group chat with 6 fucks you don't care about, who all have totally different interests, and and some of them can be awkward or have bad audio, or it can easily turn into a clusterfuck. And organizing the schedule was really difficult because some of my patrons were in Australia, some of them are in America. Can't find a time that works for everybody consistently, Even when I retooled this into live streams, I started doing monthly live streams, and that lasted a lot longer because it was just me doing a Q&A with my patrons. And it worked out because, when I do regular Q&As, on my channel, I would usually get asked a lot of repeat questions, stuff I've already answered. My patrons are more likely to ask more specific shit, but even then, how long can the same group of people keep coming up with new stuff to ask me? And not everybody naturally has questions, you know? Not everybody comes to these live streams, like, expecting to, you know, have to participate and, like, be a part of the content themselves. So, eventually I kind of just, you know, killed that one because I was already doing 2 live streams a week anyways on I Am Games. So, like, it's always about finding this right balance, and, you know, I've changed my Patreon rewards pretty regularly over time because I try to make them reflect what is my current lifestyle. And my lifestyle changes a lot, you know? I'm in a sort of business that's very free form. Like, what kind of content I'm doing changes over time, how frequently it's done, what my living situation is, you know, where I spend my time on different things. So I'm always sort of looking at what I'm doing and going, like, what can I fit into here that makes sense? And so, like, the current rewards that I've got set up, I think are pretty excellent for this system because all of them are things that I can do in bulk, that, like, I can, you know, record multiples of them and schedule them ahead of time, which is a huge help for me because, like, if I have to take time out of my, you know, out of my month to, you know, go do a bunch of shit, it's like, I really would rather be able to set aside a couple days and knock it all out in that time than have to, like, you know, at random intervals just go away from what I'm doing to go do something else, you know. Or, like, these rants, you know, these are all being filmed in one gigantic chunk right now. And I haven't been able to get ahead of myself on Patreon in a while. When I first went monthly and I had, like, all the podcasts and shit, I was recording them, like, way the fuck ahead of time and scheduling them ahead, you know, when I could, so that, you know, that stuff would go on autopilot, and it would be like, I have time to just fixate on, you know, what I'm doing in my regular career. But, you know, as long as it's stuff that I can break away and do, and it's not a huge distraction, it's not a huge expensive effort, but it's something unique. It's something you can't get from my content regularly, you know? And the podcasts are less like that. Stuff like the 2 Weeks Review or the Dead Project's Graveyard, they're not so much something you couldn't get elsewhere because I release podcasts all the time. It's just that I fixate on things I wouldn't talk about on my channel. You know, I talk about things that just, like, otherwise you would never hear about this if I didn't do this podcast. Or with the care packages, you know, it's like a bunch of different styles of video that either literally can't survive on YouTube or that I just wouldn't be likely to post because of the type of content that it is, you know. And these rants are obviously something, this is just like a very transactional sort of reward. It's like, you give me money, I rant about something that you want me to, everybody wins, as long as this, you know, level of ranting is something that you are comfortable paying this amount of money for. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on to the next.